If Europe is calling your name and you're on the brink of booking a trip, but you're not quite sure about travel restrictions or even where to go, we have some answers for you this morning. Our travel expert, Loren Christie, spent 3 months in Europe at the end of last year. Oh, he is there now to update how travel has changed. This looks beautiful, Loren. We know you're in Europe. Where exactly are you?
Well, as you said, I took my favorite vacation from last year from France, combined it with my La Boat houseboating trip on the Rideau Canal, and brought it to the Canal du Midi, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the south of France, just outside of Toulouse. And this time, instead of bringing the dogs, I brought all my nieces and nephews who were over there on the boat.
Oh, amazing. Now, I also know that you've brought someone with you who's doing camera. Can you do me a favor and get them to move their finger out of the shot?
Yes, move your finger out of the shot, cameraman, please. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, now we can see the full spectrum. Tell us, Loren, what's going on with travel restrictions? Because I remember you were in Europe for a few months at the end of last year. You loved it. Is it easier this time around?
It is definitely easier. I mean, I think you'll see mask mandates have certainly been lifted in most places, apart from on public transportation. So still on the trains in France, countries like Ireland still have them. But some countries like Switzerland have done completely away with all of the travel restrictions that were out there. So again, it's a little bit of a mixed bag when it comes to pandemic choices that they have to make. Certainly when you get onto a plane or an airport, obviously you're wearing a mask. But in terms of arriving, the best thing you can do is make sure that you're triple vaxxed. If you're not, probably the chances are you're still going to have to show a negative PCR or a negative antigen test before getting on. Most European countries, or in the EU anyway, use a locator form, an EU digital locator form that you have to fill out in order to come over and show that you've done one of those two things. So it's still a little bit of things to do. But again, like before, it's not the same across the board. Austria, for example, just the other week dropped the need for the locator form, so you still need to keep on top of it.
Loren, I love that you took your love of houseboating from on the canal near Ottawa over to the south of France. You make me feel like anybody can do this trip. And for anyone who's watching, who's maybe thinking of going to Europe this summer, what else do they need to know?
Well, straight off the top, I think we've all seen over the last month or so, check your passport expiration date. That has been a big story in Canada right now, is the lack of that. Making sure that you leave yourself enough time to do that. Hotel availability, it is tight. We have the same problem in Europe as you do in Canada in terms of labor shortages. So hotels are filling up fast. And it's not necessarily because it's that busy. It's more because the hotels can only work at 70 or 80% occupancy because of the number of staff they have. Now, that being said, Airbnb just came out with some data recently saying that long-term stays are still popular, like we did when we were there for those 3 months. They have doubled the number of 28-day stays or more since the numbers in 2019. So those are big. But they also say, which is different from when I was here before, that the big destinations, the urban destinations, they're back. It used to just be resorts were getting busier. Berlin, London, Paris, Rome, they're all getting busier. And the Air Canada data supports that as well. They're back on all of their major routes. Again, maybe not quite as the same as the high capacities, but they are coming. So things are returning a lot to normal at this point.
Yeah, passport wait times are long, but budgets are tighter as we, head into this next year. So what if you're looking to do Europe on a budget? What's your advice?
Yeah, well, we're actually headed after this to Portugal, and Portugal seems to be the perennial favorite for Canadians looking for a little bit cheaper. I wouldn't say it's rock bottom cheap, but in general, the Airbnbs were cheaper that we looked, the flights were cheaper, the food is cheaper, so Portugal's a good bet. But if you're looking to go other places, again, sometimes people get caught up in the hotspot, like I need to go to Paris or I need to go to Vienna, for example. Well, take those two, for example. If you've never thought about Ljubljana, Slovenia, go there. It is the best of those two cities in one city. So think about a little bit more off the beaten path if you can. Also consider budget accommodations. When we were in Paris, we stayed in an Airbnb that was a wine cellar and a bookstore turned into an Airbnb. It was cheap, but it was amazing. You can have those adventures in countries all over Europe. Germany, for example, has 35 hostels and budget accommodations that are actually in palaces or castles. What? They may not have all the services of a hotel, but you're going to have an amazing experience. You're going to remember it. And then lastly, of course, look at the discount airlines. They have some really amazing cheap rates. But again, plan. You have to make sure that you're not carrying too much luggage because there is extra cost for that.
Right.
And if you want to go really budget, they have some really great apps in Europe that are European specific. One that one of those nieces used to get from Germany to here was Blah Blah Car, which is a ride sharing app, and it's just the cost of gas.
Blah, blah, car. Good one to remember. Hey, Loren.
Yeah, hard to forget.
Enjoy the rest of your vacation, and thanks for joining us in the middle of yours.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Take care.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.